loved it. It was so good. I loved this book so much. Hello my loves, and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten and we are doing April's read and wrap up. So for those of you that don't know, I do this in the smash or pass style. So we just go through all the books I've read in the month of April and tell you whether I'd smash or pass. Nice and simple. Let's just get straight into it, starting off with the ebooks because we had no DNFs this month, which is amazing. I'm so pleased with that. I'm a massive advocate for DNFing, by the way. If you're not enjoying a book, put it down, it's not worth it. That didn't happen this month. I actually had a really good reader month, so yeah, let's just get straight into it. By the way, do let me know what you've been reading this month and what was your favourite thing that happened this month. That'd be really fun to know. But yes, ebooks. So we have 3 ebooks on here. We've got A Perilous Undertaking. This is by Dana Rayborn. This is the second book in the Veronica Speedwell series, which I adore. I love this series so much. We are following Veronica and she, well, in the first book gets caught up in a mystery surrounding who her parents are because she doesn't actually know. She's been raised by her aunts her whole life, and when her aunts pass away, she is thrust into this world where there is murder and people are out for her and she really doesn't know why. And she gets approached by this gentleman that goes, "Come with me to London and I'm gonna have my friend Stoker help look after you." And that man ends up dying. So Stoker and Veronica are looking into it and trying to solve it. So it is a cozy murder mystery series, but we do also have a little bit of a romance, a very slow burn romance between Veronica and Stoker, but I love seeing their banter, their interactions with one another. It is so good. I really enjoy this series. It's just so much fun. So yeah, I love this. This is 100% a smash for me. It is so good. And if you haven't tried this series, definitely give it a try. I picked it up because of Katie, because she kept talking about it so much, and I'm so glad I did. I'm also annoyed I took so long to pick it up. It has been so good, and I'm stealing Abby's idea where she is reading 1 book a month, and that is definitely what I want to do because I am enjoying these so much. There are 9 books out currently, so yeah, definitely going to be reading these more. I do want to get the physical copies, but we'll see because I have no shelf space currently. I am moving at the time of filming this and we'll see how much shelf space I have left because it is 9 books. So we'll see, but regardless, I read this as an ebook and really enjoyed it. It is so much fun. I love Veronica as a character. She is so strong-willed. She is also a butterfly scientist. Yes, there's an official word for that, but no, I can't pronounce it. It's so much fun, and seeing Veronica really be forward-thinking during this time because it's kind of set in like Victorian-esque England, and you really get the feel for the sensibilities that women are meant to have. Veronica's just such a fun character to follow, so yeah, I really enjoy this one. Then we have another cozy murder mystery which I adored, and that's The Marlowe Murder Club by Robert Thorogood. This was so good. I loved it so much. So this one, I mean, again, another smash, but we're following a main character who is like in her 80s, and she likes to go swimming nude in the Thames, and one evening when she is doing this, she hears gunshots and her neighbour shouting. She reports it to the police, but they don't really do much with it, and she's like, okay, well, I'm going to take this into my own hands, and discovers her dead neighbour's body, and so starts investigating. She also ends up pulling 2 other women into all of her exploits with her. It is so much fun. I really enjoyed it. Would recommend this one if you're a fan of Richard Osman's Thursday Murder Club series. It's so much fun. I really enjoyed this one. Definitely want to get a physical copy of this book, and I want to continue on with the series. It is so good. Like, honestly, up there with my all-time favourite cozy murder mystery. I adored this one. Like, I can't decide if I love it more than the Thursday Murder Club. I feel like it's on the same level for me because it's so good. So if you haven't read this one, do pick it up. It is so much fun. I'm not going to go into more about what it's actually about because it is a murder mystery, but just know the characters are brilliant and you do end up with a few different perspectives, and it's just so much fun. I loved it. So yeah, definitely want to continue on with this series. Then we have Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldry. This is a prequel to Legends and Lattes by the same author, obviously. And Legends and Lattes I read last year and really enjoyed. It was really nice and cozy. It's a cozy fantasy, and in that book you are following Viv, who is an orc, and she is setting out opening up her own coffee shop. In this one, Bookshops and Bone Dust, we're seeing Viv as a much younger orc at the start of her mercenary days, but she gets injured and has to recover in this seaside town where she finds a bookshop and ends up helping out. It is such a heartwarming story. I will say, if you read Legends and Lattes but you wanted a bit more plot, then this one has that, so give it a try. But I really enjoyed this one. I don't know if I'm going to own it physically because I think for me, out of the two, I adored Legends and Lattes. But with the way Bookshop and Bone Dust ends with the epilogue, there is a potential for a third book, which I would be very intrigued by. So I'm definitely going to keep my eye out to see if that actually happens. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. It was a really fun, cozy time and another smash. Honestly, the ebooks that I read this month were all smashes. I had a fantastic time. It was brilliant. Like, I had 3 cozy ebooks and I loved all of them. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. So highly recommend all 3 of those. So let's now get into the physical books I've read. First 2 I'm not going to talk about too much because the weekly reading vlog where I read these ones is coming out the Friday after this video. So the first one is The Trial of Lotta Ray by Siobhan McGowan. This is a smash. This is definitely an underrated historical fiction. It's not something I'd ever heard of. Even on Goodreads it's got less than 1,000 reviews. Give it a try. Read it. It has some trigger warnings because we're following Lotta and you see her be assaulted by this wealthy gentleman in 1906, and the wealthy gentleman is able to get free because he can buy off everyone in the jury, and Lotta and her family is devastated, and even the person that was representing her in court is bought off. And you have not just Lotta's perspective but William's perspective, the person that was meant to be representing her. It is hard-hitting, feminist, it is angry, it's brilliant. Give this one a try. And that's all I'm going to say on it because I do talk about it more in a video that's coming up soon. But yeah, complete smash. Give it a try, especially if you like historical fiction. And then the other book I read in that weekly reading vlog is Portrait of a Thief by Grace D. Lee. And this one was also really good, another smash. I annotated this one. I'll go through my tabs briefly for you, but it was a good book. So we have 4 different tabs, starting off with the yellow. We have quotes that I love because I loved it. These characters, we have 5 characters that we're following, and the next tab goes into this a little bit more where we have diaspora and struggling with identity, because these 5 characters are Chinese American and they feel really lost because they're not Chinese enough for China and they're not American enough for America, and you really feel their sense of loss, their sense of wanting to understand where they belong, and it's so heartbreaking but it's so well done. Like, I really enjoyed it. This is a really good character study book, so I would highly recommend. Then you've got the light blue for thoughtless racism because of the fact that we have Chinese American students and the way that they are treated in America. It's thoughtless. Like, it's so silly. Like, the very first opening scene, we have Will, who is being interrogated because he works at this art museum and there was a robbery of some Chinese artwork, and the person interviewing him, so the police officer, goes, well, you're Chinese, so you have to understand where we're thinking about how you could be a cop. And Will goes, excuse me, no, I'm American. I was born in America just like you. And it's all these thoughtless things that they have to deal with, and it's really horrible. And then we have the 4th one, which is purple, and that is for colonialism and art, because this story is about 5 students that decide to start stealing artwork that has been stolen from countries that were colonized, and how those museums refuse to give them back, and how the act of keeping that is still an act of colonialism. I really liked that. I do kind of wish that it was explored more because that's kind of what this book was pitched as, but I definitely think it's actually more of a character study of what it's like to be Chinese American and feeling lost in not being able to identify because you're stuck between cultures, and that was so profound in this book. So really recommend, really good book. So another smash. Like I said, had a really good reader month. Okay, our first pass. So we have A Shot in the Dark by Lynn Truss. This is the first book in a Constable Twitten mystery. Yeah, I didn't really like this one, I'm not gonna lie. It's a cozy murder mystery, but I couldn't get on with the writing of this one because it's done in a way that you as the reader are so obviously aware of what's going on with this murder mystery and how you are laughing at the police officers and you're making fun of them. Like, it's just a mockery of policemen, how they have no clue of what's going on and stuff. And I know a lot of cozy murder mysteries do that, but I also feel like because you know what's, like, it's so obvious. So either Lynn Truss has been really smart and done it as the reader's in on it and they're in on the joke because the reader knows who's done this, or they really failed at the mystery part of this book. Either way, it didn't work for me, so unfortunately that one is a pass. Moving on, we have the Discord book club pick for the month. So those of you that don't know, I do have a Discord channel and every single month we have a book club. If you'd like to join, I will have it linked below for you. This time for April it was The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher, and I liked this one. So this is a book that no one seemed to have loved from the book club, but everyone, well, I say everyone, the majority of us did like it. It's definitely not T. Kingfisher's strongest work. So in this one, we are following Cara, who is not doing so well in life. She's in her 30s, life has fallen apart around her, she has no idea what she's doing. She moves back in with her uncle, living at this really eclectic museum. Then things start getting weird, really weird. It's a horror portal fantasy-esque book. I really liked the horror elements of this, but this horror element is more, it's about your imagination, it's about what's not there. So it reminded me of things like H.P. Lovecraft. This book's actually inspired by The Willows by Algernon Blackwood, which is a book I really want to read because I really liked those elements of it. I will say this book has a lot of humour in, and it's not for everyone. I mean, that's normal when it comes to books anyway, and humour especially is very much dependent on your personal taste. I didn't mind it, but I definitely did prefer the moments with the actual horror elements that were going on, but it did seem a little bit drawn out in places, and it was very predictable, but I still had a good time with it. So it's a smash, but it's one of those smashes where it's like a peck on the lips rather than an actual smash, because it's good. Would I reread this? Maybe eventually, and maybe once I've read The Willows by Algernon Blackwood to then see, but it wouldn't be for a while. But it was okay. Like, it was a decent book, it was easy to read, and it did creep me out in places, and I liked some of the concepts of it, but you can definitely tell this is more of an earlier work. And I have been told that actually by a few people that I've read this one and the Twisted Ones, that the Twisted Ones is better, so I'm looking forward to giving that one a try. But yeah, I did like this one. So that was good. Oh, then we have a smash. So we have The Promised Neverland Volume 4. Loved this. This was so good. So The Promised Neverland is a manga series which I really enjoy, but I've been reading it really slowly because I was finishing Toko Ghoul and then I wanted to start Moriarty, but my TBR game went, no, this one. But I'm really pleased with that because it reminded me how much I love this series. I've also been reading it slowly because I've been struggling to get hold of the volume. This is so good. So we're in an orphanage and we're following 3 main children from this orphanage, and they discover that this orphanage, well, all is not as it seems, and it's really quite dark. Love it. It's so good. Really enjoy this. Really recommend this series. Don't know when I'm going to be able to continue on because I need to find the 5th volume, although my sister did let me know that Wild of Books have a copy, so I'll have a little bit more looking around when I go back to buying books. I'm on a bit of a book buying ban at the moment. Well, you're going to see the next book haul after this video and then you're going to realise why I'm on a book buying ban. But yes, this one I did enjoy. Thought it was really good, really excited to see where the rest of the story goes. It was heartbreaking, but it was brilliant, so 100% a smash. Ooh, then we have 2 books that I was reading for my 5-star predictions video. I don't really give star ratings, as you can tell from this video, but basically I was reading books that I predict are going to be new all-time favourites. Both were. Loved them. Absolute smashes for both of these. The first one is The Traitor, Barrow by Seth Dickinson. I loved this. Look at the tabs. Like, look how much I tabbed this book. It is crazy how much I tabbed this. It is so good. I really enjoyed it. But let's go through the tabs and that will tell us what the book is about. First up, this little like peachy, pinky colour. Quotes I love, that is the generic I have whenever I tab a book, and there's a lot that I love in this book. Then we have Dark Navy for colonization / draconian rule, because we are following Barrow, and Barrow is on this island where we are having the Masquerade Empire come and take over, and they've been doing this really, really slowly. So they do this from little things. They first of all came to sell some things, but what they did was only give them change in their currency. They would accept the locals' currency but refuse to give change in that currency. So then of course the next year you could only really buy with the Masquerade Empire, and you saw these things slowly coming in, and eventually you realise how draconian the rule is, how awful it is, how they're shuttered, the way they see things, you know, the laws that they were putting into place. Like, they annihilated a whole way of life. They are ruthless, and it is horrible, but it was great to read. Then we have this purple, which is Rebellion and Revenge, which is where Barrow comes in going, I'm going to take them down from the inside, and that is what I loved about this book. And the actions that she takes, whew, oh my god, they are so bad, but she does it all to save her home, and that is why she does it. And it is one of those questions that goes, do the means justify the ends? And it is so different. Like, Barrow is not a good person. You can see why she's doing things, but it doesn't make her a good person, because some of the choices she makes, you really have to go, is this worth the cost? It is brutal. Loved it though. And then we have this light green for women in society, how they're treated as part of this Masquerade Empire, which is, well, pretty awful. And then we have this kind of like beigey colour, and that is for eugenics, because that's one thing the Masquerade Empire really works on, is eugenics and trying to find the superior race and the way they do that, and it is awful. So this book is a really brutal book to read. Like, it is awful, but it's so good. So if you're after a dark fantasy, yeah, I'd give this one a try. It's really good, and the fantasy elements is more just because it's in a different world. There's no magic to it, there's nothing like that. It's just set in this kind of alternate world to what we have. But yeah, it's brutal. Really recommend. Really recommend. Then we have a book that made me cry. As I said, this was part of that finding my new all-time favourite books video, Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. Loved it. It was so good. I loved this book so much. I was so intimidated by this book, but actually for everyone that's gone, oh, it's really confusing, I can understand why they say it. I would say it's complex. So if you're used to quite complex fantasy, I think you would kind of get on with this. It's a lot of spinning plates. There's a lot of things going on. So the base story is we're following Gideon, and she is part of the 9th necromancers. So we're in this universe where there are 9 different types of necromancers basically, and Gideon is part of the 9th, and it's on this planet that is really, well, horrible to live on basically, and you have 8 other planets, all with different necromancer abilities. And Gideon at the very start of the novel is trying to escape, and she gets foiled by Harrow, who is the princess of the 9th, is tasked with being Harrow's bodyguard for this competition of sorts that's taken place. So Gideon reluctantly goes with Harrow to this competition, and we then see the other necromancers from the other planets. They all come in, and there's a bit of a murder mystery going on. You've got this competition going on. They don't really know what they're meant to be doing, and you've got all the different necromancer abilities. Like, it is complex, but I loved this. I loved Gideon as the character. Really got to know her, really got to feel for her. You actually got to know a lot of the other competitors and stuff. Like, it was such a good book, and there was so much happening. It was brilliant. I really enjoyed this. Highly recommend. Cannot wait to continue on. Desperately want to continue on with this soon. Would hopefully like to continue on with the second book in June actually, because I loved this so much more than I thought. Like, this is definitely in my new top favourite books, 100%, because it was just that good. But like I say, that ending killed me. Absolutely devastating. But this is a smash. Okay, 3 more books to go. We have Manga, which is Toko Ghoul Volume 14. I read this one for my 24-hour Tack Your Readathon TP. Yep. Yes. my 24-hour Tackle Your TBR readathon. I host this bi-monthly. It's been going on for a little while now actually, and it's just 24 hours that you take to chill, relax and read. And I always sleep during them. You can do what you want with them. I'll have the playlist link below if you're interested, but yes, I read this as part of that and it was okay. I'm going to put this one as a pass though, because I really didn't enjoy the ending of this. I feel like it was a bit disjointed. Now that could be because it's been a while since I read the volume 13, like a good few months. I know that my partner wants to read this series, so I'm keeping the series and I will probably reread it eventually, maybe with him, but I wasn't sold on the ending of this series, so unfortunately this is a pass. But Toko Ghoul, we're following our main character who has one foot in the human world, one foot in the ghoul world, and ghouls are basically humans that need human flesh to survive, but they also have these extra abilities about them. You have these people called the Doves, which are part of the government to try and keep the ghouls contained, and you see a lot of conflict and war between ghouls and doves, and it's really interesting. And I feel like there were so many moments in this series where it could have gone off and explored other things and been so much more interesting as a result, but those plot lines never really seem to develop into anything, which is a bit of a shame. This one is a pass. Okay, then we have the Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. I read this in one day, loved it. So this was the book that I threw out my TBR for the Tackle Your TBR readathon and instead read this one. It is so good. I really enjoyed this book. It was so brilliant and I love this edition. But yeah, I had so much fun with this book. I was annotating it, trying to solve the different things that were going on. Like, I had so much fun with this. I even had like post-it notes with my theories and everything. Like, it was just a really fun time. Can I find a post-it note? Yes, there. Like, look, it was so fun. I really enjoyed this one. So in this one, we are following Belle, and Belle, her mother disappeared when she was a baby and nobody knows what actually happened to her. And so we're trying to find out what happened. So basically what's happening is her father's agreed to this TV series about Rachel, about her disappearance and what actually happened, and Belle doesn't want to do it, and we've got this book from Belle's perspective and we're seeing how this TV series is really trying to understand what happened, and then Rachel reappears, which isn't a spoiler because it's on the title. Things get interesting. I really enjoyed this one. So the tabs I've got 4 tabs, starting off with light green, as we know, quotes that I love, the usual. Then we have purple, which is facts about the case when Rachel went missing. We then have pink for suspicious things and blue for trauma from the past, because Belle is dealing with a lot of trauma from the past. This was a really good book. Really recommend if you just want something that was really fast paced and fun. It is young adult, but I had great fun with this. Like, I really like Holly Jackson books. Like, they are young adult, but I find them really fun and entertaining, and I just think they're a really good time, so I would still really recommend them. But yeah, this was really good, a really nice standalone and just a lot of fun. It was so intriguing, and like I say, I devoured it in one day, well, within 24 hours because I split it a little bit. But yeah, really good fun, and it was just great. I just really enjoyed this one. It's definitely one that I'm so pleased I read, and that I listened to everyone on Discord that was saying, look, ditch TBR and read this one, it's what you want to do, because it was so good. Like, I just had so much fun. I was so invested. It was great. It was exactly what I wanted to read in that moment, and it was brilliant. So yeah, smash. We have The Cleave-In by Julia E. McKenna. I'm not sure where this sits, to be fair. This is meant to be an retelling of the Arthurian legend, but from 4 women's perspective. But it's not actually from 4 women's perspective, it's only from one Nimue. And you're seeing her perspective on what's happening. So Nimue is a wizard, just like Merlin, but she doesn't get involved the way Merlin does. She doesn't agree with what he's doing. And you're seeing this from before Arthur is born, so how he was conceived, to the end of his reign. So it covers a vast amount of time in this book, which is one thing I really struggled with, is some of the time jumps in this book, because it did feel like every single chapter was a time jump, which I didn't really get on with. We also had moments where I wasn't as invested in this storyline, moments where I would be more invested but just didn't get explored. I don't know. If you're going into this book for the Arthurian legend, I have been told it's not accurate at all. It's not got good depictions of what people would have said during the time or the sort of armour they would have worn. I don't know, I feel like I liked it, but I also got really frustrated at times. I'm keeping it because I love this cover and I might eventually reread it, but it's not one I would recommend to anyone. So yeah, I don't know. I think for now I'm going to put it as a pass, but I did still like it because it was such an easy read. Like, it was really good for my early shifts where I'm up really early for work, I've done a 9-hour day and all I want to do is relax to something. It was really easy to do that because I didn't really have to pay that much attention. It was interesting to see things from women's perspective, and you mainly saw how women were treated during this time period and the effects that war would have on them and things like that. It was interesting, but there were a lot of issues with this book. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it as a pass. I'm still pleased I read it, so that's good. And there we have it. Those are all the books I read in the month of April. Do let me know if you've read any of these and what you thought of them, if you agree with me with any of these, or if you want to read any of them now as a result. But yeah, let me know all of that in the comments below. But overall, I've had a really good reader month. A couple of passes, but it's not a bad thing. Like, I still had a really good time, really pleased with the books that I've read. So yeah, it's been good. It's been a good month. So I think if we've made it this far, or you just don't know what you would like to comment, what do we put? I don't know. Oh, I know. Put a skull emoji for Gideon because, I mean, that's just, that was definitely the best book of the month. That and the Cozy Murder Mysteries, I did really enjoy those as well. But yeah, so if you made it this far, or you just don't know what you want to comment, then leave a little skull emoji below. And thank you so much for watching. I know I say it all the time, but I really do appreciate each and every single one of you that takes the time to watch these videos, that takes the time to interact. Like, I really truly appreciate it, so thank you so much. And if you have enjoyed this video, then maybe consider giving it that thumbs up, subscribe, comment. Those 3 things really help this channel out. My social media links and anyone I've mentioned will be linked below for you, and I will of course catch you in the very next video.